that. You know, we're in the beginning of April, so this is normally flood season anyway. So now we have a major flood occurring on the main stem Mississippi River. So any additional rainfall to that, we're going to be really watchful and keeping tabs on how that's going to impact stages. Concerning, we'll do more of these. We'll have more inundation maps. We'll communicate with our stakeholders and public just the concerns that we think may exist. But in the meantime, in the interim week to 2 weeks, we don't see those concerns just yet. But everything can change within a short period of time. It just takes the right rain event. So.
And I'll add to that too, is with a potential greater event. It's the Corps of Engineers. We're responsible for one thing, but a lot of the flood protection is also on the local partners. Like, for example, the city of Memphis has a series of levees, pump stations, and they're very well prepared to deal with a flood from the Mississippi River. And then that's whether it's the city of Memphis or some of our local levee and drainage districts over in Arkansas or throughout the Missouri. They're well prepared for it.
So I'm headed to Earl, Arkansas for the 5 and 6 tonight. And the Tyrone River has crested there, so it's covering Highway 64. Are you guys helping with that, or is that just one of the city or?
Yes, so I do know that we sent some staff that direction, and if they need any technical assistance with placing those sandbags, we're available. But we have sent those this morning.
So it's really, it's impressive right now. It's covering up 64, so it's impassable. They were talking about closing the highway, and then if they reroute it, it would go right next to an elementary school. So just didn't know what your involvement is besides sandbags.
So,
Doesn't quite seem to do the trick.
Yeah, so I think I got that message about an hour ago. So we actually have a team upstairs right now that are trying to produce inundation maps, trying to figure out where that flooding may go and where the floodwaters may go, because that's an area that's not covered on the inundation map viewer currently. So there's a team of people upstairs on the 7th floor right now who are actively trying to address that problem and produce some maps. And so hopefully we'll be able to. So that's a different type of technical assistance that we're providing. So there's boots on the ground doing sandbags, and then upstairs we have a group of engineers who are trying to tackle the problem from a different way to just help the community understand what may go underwater and where and when. So that's something that we're trying to tackle literally right now. So it's a great question. Thank you.
And just for clarification on the sandbags, we provide the sandbags. Sponsors they're required to provide the sand providers, and we do help with those. If they need help, we are available, and we'll be there to help and assist to make sure that they get those placed in the right place, in the right structural conditions, so that will withhold the floods. And their inundation maps will help with the placement of those.
A lot of times when it's outside the federal levees, and so the graphic behind us, really what we try to do every day is we synchronize internally and with our higher headquarters, but every day at 4 o'clock we've got a list of hundreds of partners, EMs, state, local. We coordinate what we're doing, what we're seeing as far as flood fight and as far as what the predictions are on gauges and rainfall. So every day, 4 o'clock since the last 7 to 10 days, I think we've as soon as we knew about this, we do that. And so what we're talking about is it is not just the eyes and ears of the folks in this room or in this building. We've got thousands of folks really that are part of the network that are bringing in the problems. And if they can't handle it on a local level, they go to the state, and we're there to pitch in where we can from a federal responsibility, even when it's outside of our federal projects.
I kind of have a two-parter here. Can you talk about your work on the ground and moving to West Tennessee, Obion County, Dyer County? I was there, Dyer County yesterday, the flooding is unreal down there. Any advice for residents over there, and can you talk about the work on the ground?
I'm going to start this because I'm from Dyersburg. And so myself and Colonel Jones, we drove all through West Tennessee on Sunday before the crest. But one of the most important things that we can do and that we're providing and to the county EMs, to the mayors, to all their technical folks is what Sarah's been talking about, and that's the inundation map. Because a lot of those areas don't have a protection system, and so they're at the will of the water. And so they really need to be looking, and I think they are, and they've been on our calls, they've been asking the questions, and I know some evacuations had to take place anyhow, but that is probably the most key piece of information for that community. And our hearts go out to them. We do have a flood fight office in Dyersburg, so we are loaning pumps to help them augment in areas. There are a couple of federal levee systems there that protect the north side of Fort Deer, but the south side and the south area, they don't enjoy that protection. And then again in the Pagoda area as well, down below Reeves, which those are just either number 1 or number 2 events of all time. And that amount of water is localized, and it just takes a while to get out.
You want to talk inundation mapping is an important tool, and obviously, as time goes by and the water stages rise, we continue to have to model and analyze that. So I know our team, we don't just use the inundation mapping and share it without updating it. So you want to talk about regularly how often that's...
Yeah, so we update the inundation maps. So the inundation maps show the maximum extents that we think are going to happen based on the forecast. So they're not updated every day necessarily, but they are updated every time we think that the inundation may get worse. So those maps are available, but the Earl, Arkansas is a great example. The inundation maps don't cover everything. So there's going to be areas behind levees that wouldn't normally flood, that we don't normally produce inundation for, but when we're able to and we have resources to, we do. So that's what we're trying to do for that whole area behind the Huxtable levee. So.
How long do you think that we can see the floodwaters recede? How long? That's a big question.
Oh, that is a good question. I don't have a great estimate. There's a lot of water, if we're talking about St. Francis Basin, I think weeks, maybe. We just now crested in some parts of the Little River system, so there's a tremendous amount of water coming down the St. Francis Basin, and it's going to take time for it all to find its way back into a channel and ultimately make its way to the Mississippi River. And probably the same for everybody, because just like the Obion Fork and Deer, it's just a lot of water. It's a lot of water. So even though it's crested, it's going to take time for it to drain out, and now that the Mississippi River's up, it's just going to take that much longer.
So it's small creeks that go into the larger Mississippi. So those have to recede before it feeds into that.
Yeah. The system of small drainage ditches from agricultural land that's getting through small culverts as they into larger ditches and then larger ditches. That is working its way through that local system to get into the big federal system, and so it's taking time to work its way through that maze of drainage
Well, thank you all
Thank you
for
so much.
joining us, and big thanks to our panel of experts. Hopefully, we've answered your questions, and that concludes our press conference. If you'd like, some individual interviews, post interviews, just ask Ben, and then he'll facilitate that. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys, I appreciate it.
And we'll send you a copy of these slides as well, so you'll have those.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
It looked better to cut. It looked better to cut. We put it on video. The email.
Oh,
I didn't-
yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to take it out. Yeah, instead of, yeah. Yeah, I'm about to take it out right now. So,